AI is just the next wave of evolutions. Life is so much better with AI, and we use this everywhere, every time, whatever we do. So I went from over 2 days of work to less than an afternoon of work. You won't be replaced by AI, but you will be replaced by people who use AI. And that's 100% true. If you define by the outcome you deliver and by the vision you have, then great. Use AI to redefine yourself.
This is a podcast about how work is shifting, what's worth paying attention to, and what it means for people building and leading organizations today. I am your host, Bukola. Let's dive into it. Today, I have a conversation about reinvention and what that means. This is really not about what you read about on the headline, but really the kind that happens quietly and across decades. I've got my guest here, Olivier Barnard, and who has started his career radio frequency engineering and is now was deep in hardware and semiconductor design. But over time, he has moved through multiple waves of technology, and so why he's on podcast today. He's been through GPS technology, IoT, cloud, and now he works at the forefront of IoT and AI, working with a big organization who are at the forefront of this technology. This episode is really about what is about building his career across those waves. How has he done it? What skills survive, and he has seen that it will survive coming in the coming years. Identifies as needs to shift in the industry, and reinvention really looks like when technology keeps moving. I mean, every single day we're seeing new technology, something new is out there. So it'll be really good to get his thoughts on what's shifting and how has he survived, first of all, through the waves of technology over the years. So welcome with me, Olivier. Welcome, Olivier.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so very much for having me in this podcast.
Thank you, Olivier, for joining me today. I just want to open by asking you to briefly introduce yourself in your own words. I could introduce you, but I really want to hear from you what you're doing today, and also the audience also would like to know what you're doing today, what you're currently focusing on, and in your own words as well, when you hear emerging work or future of work, what does it mean from your own perspective?
Absolutely. So, yeah, I'm Olivier Barnard. I'm based out of the United States, California, and I work for AWS, where I lead the go-to-market strategies for IoT services into consumers and small home product in general. And I think the reason I'm here is because I've had a lot of change throughout my careers, both in locations. I was born and raised in France, and then I immigrated to the UK, then Spain, then the United States, where I ended my career. And also, I was trained and originally was aiming to be an RF engineer. But through my career, I moved from engineering to business, and then from business to strategy, then from strategy to executive leadership. And now I'm sort of a public speaker evangelist that showcase the art of possibles with the industries of smart home and consumer products, and how AI is completely changing the shift and the balance of the services that are available, as well as the adoption of our devices. So when I look at my career, I've changed location, I've changed technology, I've changed roles. So I started initially as a design engineer, as an individual contributor, and then I became an engineering manager. But throughout the years, as I shifted from engineering, I wanted to have more scope, more role. And so I went into the business side, and I became sort of an industry architect. Today with AWS, I help build the ecosystem, which is not only my work impacts what's going on within AWS, but it impacts what's going on within industry. And so if you think of a smart home protocol called Matter, that is led by consortium called the CSA, Communication Standard Alliance, we're defining standard that will be adopted by not only AWS, but by Apple, by Samsung, by Google, by a lot of other uh, ecosystem leader, if you will, that will shape how the broad consumer market will use smart home devices.
Yeah.
So it's a very different role. It's a very different
Mm.
scope. And in that journey, I went from small companies to startups, and then now to one of the world's largest company. So I think you've heard the sentence that the only constant in life is change,
Yes.
and I've had a lot of those changes through my career. So that made me very uniquely positioned to prepare myself for what AI happened. And by the way, AI is not the first hugely significant technology changes that I experienced. When I started as an RF engineer,
Mm.
I went through the dot com and I went through the rise of internet.
Yeah.
Uh, as you know, Elizabeth,
Yeah.
uh, we worked for ARM, and our previous CEO, Simon Segar, used to love to talk about the five revolutions
Yeah.
of communication and internet. And one of them was, going from computers, which was mainframe, to portable computers, then to cell phone, then to mobile handset. And so when you look at that continuum, AI is just the next wave of evolutions, just like
Revolution. Yeah.
we went from just a cell phone to a smartphone, or
Mm.
we went from a simple computer you had on your desk to the internet where all the computers were connected.
Mm.
And so AI can be seen as this. And it's scary because it's broader, it's a massive change. And
Mm.
a lot of people like to say it is the most massive change that we will see in our lifetime, way beyond the internet, similar to inventing fires or inventing electricity.
Mm.
And that may be true. But I think at the end of the day, when you look at what happened with those huge revolution, fire was great for
Yeah.
helping humanity live longer and better. And electricity, as scary as it was, back in time, people are like, if you put electricity in your home, you're gonna
Um,
maybe burn your home, maybe it's
yeah.
gonna explode, maybe you're gonna electrocute. So there was a lot of fear. But
Yeah.
when you look back 100 years later, you go, wow, what would life be without electricity? And I
Electricity.
think
Yeah.
that's what we're going to see with AI. We're going to
Mm.
look through 10 years, maybe 15 years of a lot of pain, a lot of adjustment. But I
Mm.
think eventually, in 20 years from now, in 50 years from now, our kids will look back and say, do you remember the days without AI? And life is so much better with AI. And we use this everywhere, every time, whatever we do. So AI is here to stay.
Mm.
And we only have one choice, which is how do we embrace it and by how much. But it's inevitable.
Yeah.
And so if you want to stay relevant, you have to embrace AI with your work, with your
Yeah.
career. And the way I look at it is there's two elements to how AI is going to change your life. One, it's how do you personally use AI in your life and your career? How does AI make you look better? How does AI make you perform more, better, or deliver more results? And so that's one vector. And then the second vector is in your work, whatever your responsibilities are, whether you're in sales or marketing or engineering, how does AI modify your work and the scope
Mm.
of your work and the ecosystem you evolve in? And so I'll give you two examples. The first
Yeah.
example is how does AI help me in my work? A very simple example is at AWS, I run a business which is pretty significant. And so every month, my senior leadership, VP level and up, are expecting me to report on the quality of the business. And so we have a process that's called MBR, the monthly business review with our executive
Okay.
team. And it used to take me over 2 days to prepare that report, to gather all of the information, to format everything in a format that was accepted for our leadership. It would take me 2 days to come up with that report, and it was very intense, focused 2 days of work, and it was very hard to do because I got always interrupted.
Mm.
Now with AI, it takes me about 4 hours. It takes me an afternoon. I'll block an afternoon. And I'm like, okay, I've got my AI agents that are gathering all the information I want. I've got my AI
Mm.
agents that are creating the dashboard that I need. And then I've got an AI editor that write everything very well for me so that I don't have to think, did I use the right word? This is the right format. I just say, those are the 5 bullet points I want to use. Make a summary for my executive in less than 100 words. And boom, you're done. It's one paragraph. So I went from over 2 days of work to less than an afternoon of work. And
Yeah.
then if you take the second element, the second bucket
Mm.
of this, and you think about AI, well, I used to talk about how consumers were using devices and they were setting up their routine. Now I'm talking about the art of possible with AI, and I'm describing how AI is going to automate a lot of those functions. So one of the pain points for consumers is they need to embrace the technology. They receive a smart home device, whether it's a sensors, a smart camera, or what have you. And the first thing you need to do is you need to onboard the device, provision the device, put it on your Wi-Fi network. And then
Mm.
if you want to create some routine, you create some routine. You say, I want to create a routine between, let's say, my front door camera and my door lock, so that the front door camera recognizes me and says, that's Olivier, he's coming home. I will open the door for you. And so the door opens automatically
Yeah.
or unlocks automatically. Uh, that's very painful. I mean, for me, it's fun.
Yeah.
But for my wife, she's told me many times, look, God forbid, if something happens to you, the house will stop working. I'm selling the house and I'm buying another house because I can figure out all of the devices. And, mind you, I've got 120 smart home devices in my home.
Wow.
But for me, it's fun to put all these
Yeah.
devices together and fidget and build new things. For her, it's like, it's hell.
So yeah.
And, she calls me when I'm on business travel just because the light didn't turn up properly or the light is the wrong color or the wrong intensity. And I'm like, well, just go on the app and just change the setting. And she's like, what app? I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it from here. So I'm, I'd say in Japan, and I'll just readjust everything in my home in Japan, middle of my night, evening for my wife, so that she lives comfortable. So AI is going to automate a lot of those things. Now think about buying a new AI-powered devices. You turn on the device, you bring it in your home, it turns on, and an AI agent will go and figure out what the network is based on proximity sensing, based on Wi-Fi sensing, based on contextual understanding of what else is going on in a home. So it's going to wake up, it's going to say, I see this is the Wi-Fi, this is the Wi-Fi that most devices are using. I'm going to onboard that Wi-Fi, I'm going to connect. Oh, I see there's an Alexa. Alexa is probably the primary voice interface. So, okay, so I'm going to connect to Alexa. And now I'm going to ask things about what you want me to do with that sensors through Alexa. And Alexa will go, we just noticed that you onboarded this new breakout sensors. Would you like it to be associated with your security system? Would you like it to be embedded with other sensors? I feel that these sensors in your living room is that accurate. So you go from for the smart home, what then, to having a personal assistant that designed the smart home for you. And that assistant is going to be AI. So AI can help you becoming better. And AI is going to be part of the product and the ecosystem that you're driving, whatever your strategy is or your role is in the enterprise. What I like to say is AI doesn't want to take your job. First of all, AI doesn't know what your job is, but AI is very good at doing chores for you. So if your personality and your work is characterized and defined by chores, then you're in trouble. But if your work is defined by your vision of what you want to do and what you want to accomplish, then AI is just the incredibly powerful tools that was handed to you to be a better version of who you are. So I know that was a long answer to a simple question, but did that help? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. And it resonates a lot with what I've been hearing as well.
Yeah.
From a lot of people, really. And it's very key what you said there. You need to think about what is your terrain really. If your terrain is more choice based, kind of
Yeah.
errands based, simple task kind of based, you need to start thinking, okay, how can this be automated? If you think it can be automated, then it's likely that AI will take that job. And then that's when you start to look at kind of reinventing what we're going to talk about soon. Reinventing what kind of skills you need to acquire. How do you harness the power of this new technology to help you on your journey or within the role that you're currently within? and your vision as well. So I like what you're saying. Let's take a bit of a step back.
Yeah.
You've worked in several waves of technology, right? You've
Yes.
mentioned you work in RF and hardware, now IoT, and now AI, and you're working with smart devices and smart home devices, and so I'm really curious. At what point did you realize that you need to pivot, or did you that reinvention actually happen, or did it just happen just by chance for you, or did you deliberately, you know, kind of make choice and said, I see what's coming and I need to reinvent myself, I need to upskill myself? At what point did it happen?
Well, much as I'd love to say that when I was 18 years old and I decided to go to engineering school and study RF, I was, very prescient, and I knew that RF technology was going to be ubiquitous in the world. I had no idea.
Yeah, I have no
So,
idea.
so it's luck.
Yeah.
I went to engineering school because when I was 17, I told my dad that I wanted to be a historian, and I love history, and that was my passion.
Mm.
And my dad very gently just slapped me in the back of the head and say, uh, "You're good in math. You're gonna be an engineer." I was 17. I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, history is gonna be your pastime. You're not gonna make money out of this,
Mm.
so do this." And the lesson here is, I'm glad I listened to my dad. I mean, I know a lot of
Listen to
young
your
people
dad.
think I know better,
Yeah, yeah.
but I mean, he really helped me in that choice. He didn't do it very gently, by the way, but
Mm.
he got me in the right track, and I was good. Now, the point here is, I got lucky that I chose RF as a
Mm.
field. When I chose RF as a field, the only thing RF was radar, military applications,
Mm-hmm.
and TV, UHF, VHF, and that was it. There was
Yeah.
no Bluetooth, there was no Wi-Fi, there was no Thread. That didn't exist. The world of IoT was not there, right?
Yeah.
And so it so happened that I joined a field where suddenly RF became ubiquitous, right? And it started with remote control for your TV or remote control for your car, like,
Mm.
key fobs, for example. And then it went to TPMS, so tire pressure monitoring system. And suddenly, Bluetooth came in and Wi-Fi came in. And so anybody who knew RF was like, wow, you understand technology, you understand, what RSSI is. So those kind of terms, you understand, what range is, you understand wavelength frequency. So it was very useful. Now, I loved RF and I loved tinkering, but
Mm.
in my third job, I was working developing. I was an engineering manager. I was developing a bunch of devices, and I was working with somebody who was doing business and strategy, my counterpart, and he would tell me, "I've talked to the customer. We need to do this." And I'm going to exaggerate a lot, but a lot of things he was coming back was, I need you to build a ladder so that I can go between Earth and the moon on that ladder. And anybody who has experience with the technology would go, "That's impossible." And he would go back and say, "Well, that's what the customer wants." And I would say,
Okay.
"Well, it's impossible. So go back to your customer and say that it's impossible." And I
Mm.
started complaining to my boss that he was asking us to design things which were not possible,
Impossible. Yeah.
because he wanted to be on the good grace of the customers, but he was
Mm.
not taking into account the technology and the limitation of physics. So when that happened, my boss told me very gently, "Well, he's a strategist here, and he talks to customers, and he knows the market better than you do. So if you don't like what he does, then take his job." I'm like, "Okay, how do I do that?" "Go get an MBA."
What
And
did
it
you?
was just that simple, just that
Okay.
simple. And so I'm like, I know better than this guy. Uh, I understand the technology, but
Mm.
my scope and my influence is limited to doing what somebody else tells me to do. And I really wanted to define what I wanted my team to work on. And so I went back to school and I got an MBA. And
Okay.
that's how I moved. So that was a very deliberate change. And by the
Mm-hmm.
way, I love business anyway, because
Yeah.
when I was younger, I would open the newspaper and look at the business section. I would look at stock valuation and financial results. So that was a little bit of my passion, but that's what I wanted to do. And so once I moved away from engineering to strategy, then I realized this is great, because instead of building and designing things, you're
Mm.
striving to deliver outcomes and results, and you're using technology as the foundation to do that. And so I did 10 years of engineering and engineering
Mm.
management, and I went on to business, and I never looked back.
Sounds
So
good.
that was the definite move.
That
Now,
was the moment that you shifted from pure
that was the
engineering
moment.
to
Yes.
strategy. Okay, understand.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I moved from there. Now, because of all the changes in my life, I
Yeah.
think I was lucky enough to do two things. One, uh, when things were changing a lot,
Mm.
instead of being scared and intimidated, I was very curious and I wanted to learn more.
You're
And
curious.
so, whether it was the internet wave or, just 2 years ago, the AI wave, I mean,
Mm.
as soon as I saw AI, I'm like, wow, what a great technology. I want to learn more. I want to be a specialist.
Mm.
So long before anybody at AWS was starting to really adopt AI broadly, I was already getting my certifications and learning because you want to get ahead of the curve.
Mm.
You, in my mind, you never want to be the one who embrace changes when everybody else has done it. And that's what innovation about, right? Being an innovator. Uh, when I went to business, I also realized that I was pretty good at reading the tea leaf and projecting what that would mean. So
Okay.
for RF, I understood that innovation for RF technology was going to be very broad, very impactful. It would go beyond automotive and remote controls. It would go through a lot of different devices. And so I joined a company that was leading that innovations of
Okay.
communications and
Yeah.
embracing technology in a bigger scales beyond what was already done. Um, and so I realized at that point that I should do strategy because strategy is all about taking a lot of unknowns and building a plan for what you don't know,
Okay.
and then driving outcome based on limited data sets.
Yeah.
And that's how I moved to being a strategist for my companies, because then I would say this is sort of what the technology will enable. Not the technology is cool, people will love it. It was more the technology can be very useful to resolve real life problems. And so AI is the same way. AI can resolve very real life problems.
Mm.
Um, and so, people ask me, where should I start in 2026 with AI? And what I tell people is, don't ask yourself what skill you should learn.
Mm.
Ask yourself, how are you going to use AI to leverage the skills you already have and have a compounding effect on what you're doing? So if you're doing a lot of reports, how do
Mm.
you use AI to make those reports faster, more efficiently, and deliver more? If you're running a business, how do you incorporate AI into your business so that your business becomes more valuable, more productive, cheaper, more
Mm-hmm.
adopted, right? So don't ask yourself, well, so what should I learn about AI? Learn how you should use AI, what it's going to bring to your table. And once you have that, work backward to figure out, okay, what specific skill do I need to learn to be able to deliver on that outcome?
Can you repeat that one more time? Learn. Okay, so that
which,
everybody will
which,
get it. What you should learn, right?
so what you should learn is
Yeah.
you should start with outcome and
Yeah.
delivering results. And that's a
Yeah.
very Amazonian thing to say, but deliver results. So figure out what AI is going to help you do, right? Whether
Mm.
it's write report more, write better reports. For example, when I deliver, we have this term at AWS that at Amazon that says a 6-pager or 4-pagers. We have a lot of written narrative. And so I'll write my narrative and I'll figure out things that I
Mm.
want to do with it. And then I'll use AI and I'll say, okay, I am delivering this paper to an L10, an SVP within my organization.
Mm.
And I want to make sure that it's at the right level for the audience, the right level of details. I want to make sure that there is no gap or no topic that I miss. And I want to anticipate what kind of question will an L10 at Amazon ask me about this paper.
Mm.
How can I make that paper better? And I'll run that paper through my AI agent with all those prompts.
Yeah.
And the outcome is I will deliver a better quality papers and I will face less scrutiny from my L10. It doesn't mean I'll cover everything, but I'll
Yeah.
be better prepared and I will have really thought through things. So that's one of the outcome I want. I want to be writing better.
Yeah.
Okay. So to do that, what skill did I need to learn to be able to deliver on that outcome?
Mm.
What expertise did I need to develop?
In order to
And
do that.
what you got here is I use myself as a foundation of what I wanted to do. I'm the creator, I'm the visionary person, but I
Mm.
use AI to make me a better visionary person, covering more angle, trying to figure out where the gaps could be, anticipating what the question would be, so that when
Mm.
I'm actually talking to my Altan, um, I'm already pretty well prepared into what she would be looking or what he would be looking for.
So, in that sense, then, do you tend to? I don't want to dive too much into that, but just
Mhm.
based on the picture that you just painted now, you're using AI to create a scenario. You create a scenario in your head and then play it out with the AI to kind of better prepare yourself to what's coming. For example, set expectation, what to anticipate in terms of,
More than a
yeah,
scenario, an
yeah,
outcome,
an outcome.
an
Yeah.
outcome. Because when you're hired by any organization, they
Mm.
don't want you to think about the what if. They want you to think about what are you going to do for them?
Yeah, yeah,
What are you going to deliver
absolutely.
for them? So
Yeah.
it's all about results and
Mm-hmm.
outcome and
Yeah, yeah.
productivity.
Results, outcome, and productivity. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, companies spend a lot of money on employees, right? What do they
Mm.
want out of it? They want to make more money from that employee, so you generate
Yeah.
more revenues or more outcome, or they want you to save them money, and so being
Mm.
more efficient, right? And what they really, really want you to do is do unique things, innovate that
Innovate.
nobody
Yeah.
else is thinking about. And innovation is hard, right? Innovation takes a lot of failures, and so it's quite scary. But with AI, you can actually mitigate a lot of those risks by asking AI to help you think things through.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's one of the that's the kind of the scenario part of things, and really looking at the outcomes that you can benefit from using AI, in whatever
Yeah.
scenario that you have there. Thank you so much. That was very interesting. And what I've seen over your career journey is that it seems you kind of when the wave is changing. I don't know how you know, but it seems like you kind of, especially when you move from the pure engineering to kind of strategy and now AI, IoT and AI. So, is there a specific trend, or is just purely uh, just scenarios and luck, just as you said, or is there something that you realize at some point when the wave is changing and how it's shifting throughout your career? Did you have some kind of signals that make you think, okay, I know, just like you said, you upskill yourself before the waves happened, right?
Right.
Is there some kind of signals that you did notice that would be useful for people to start noticing now with kind of the shifting wave of technology? Is there any tips you can give there from what you've experienced?
So in general, I would say what you need to do is be able to isolate uh, real trends
Mm-hmm.
from the noise, right?
That's a
And
good point.
figure out what are the fads
Mm.
and what is real. And
Mm.
so I don't know that I have a process per se to do it,
Okay.
but I read a lot. I'm very curious. I want to learn a lot. And so, in the case of the internet rise,
Mm.
a lot of people were talking about brick and mortar versus click and mortar,
Mm.
and what businesses could be done online. And so what I got out of this is there was a lot of discussions. And so you
Okay.
network a
Yeah.
lot, you talk to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And I realized at some point that there was just too much discussions and too many
Mm.
articles, and it reached too many publication newspapers and articles and LinkedIn to be ignored. So that's when I dove in deep. Once you realize this is not a fad or this is not noise, but this is something that's going to be transformational,
Mm.
um, then you learn a lot. You research, you learn, you dive deeper, you try to understand, and change can be scary.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, and one thing that I share about myself is I
Yeah.
I like to push myself.
Yeah, it's
to do
very,
things that I'm not
very fair.
comfortable with, and it takes a lot of energy. And the
Mm.
best example of that is I'm a skydiver,
Ah,
right? I
okay.
skydives,
You take a
and
risk.
I said I want to be a skydiver because that looks scary, and I want to dominate my fear, and I
Mm.
want to prove myself that my mind is stronger than my body. And I remember that the first 12 jumps that I did, I
Mm.
kept going into that plane saying, "Why am I doing this? What am I doing? This is crazy. This is insane." But the process that I went through for skydiving, for learning to skydive, is the same process that you do with life, which you push yourself beyond your comfort zone, even
Mm.
though every instinct in your body tells you, "Don't do it. Don't leave the floor. Don't leave the ground. You're good here."
Don't jump.
And then the door open and you go, "Don't jump," and then you jump. But what happened is after maybe 12 to 15 jumps, I
Yeah.
started enjoying it. And then after I became certified to jump on my own, I enjoyed jumping with other people, and then I started having fun. And that
Mm.
defined me. And then I became an instructor, and I've got thousands of jump. But it's been a very rewarding experience that could have not been happening if I didn't take that first 12 jumps
That's
that
fine.
pushed me beyond my comfort. And so AI or any technology change is going to be the same. You can go, "Oh, that's scary. It's going to take my job. I don't know what to do." It's overwhelming. I think one of the big change of AI
Mm.
is how massive the changes are, and how overwhelming, and how fast it evolves, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
very
it's only
fast.
been 3 years
3 years.
since
Yeah.
ChatGPT came in and people started,
2022.
using prompt, and
Yeah.
now people are using agents.
Yeah.
Uh, about 2 years ago, AWS started saying, you should, all the employees should look at AI as a tool you can use. That was
Mm.
only 2 years ago. Now, the vast majority of Amazonians use AI daily in their life.
Yeah.
That's the new copilots. That's the new helpful link. Um, I used to bug a lot of my coworker about things. "Oh, how do you do this? How do you create this thing? Where do you get that resources?" No
Mm.
more. I just go on my Copilot and go, "Where can I find this?" And they'll answer that better, faster, and more accurately than any of my coworkers. It's better for me because I get the answers that I want. It's
Mm.
better for my coworker because I don't interrupt them into their work.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's more efficient all around.
So it pays to be a skydiver. Skydiver.
That is not what I'm saying. But
Okay.
my skydiving life. I mean, I made
Yeah, of
lifelong
course.
friends. I've got
Yeah,
a
yeah.
huge community. It's been awesome. It
It's
really
been
has been
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah. On a serious note, I like what you said, that it's really, we have to be able to filter the noise, right? There is a lot
Yes.
of noise out there about what's changing, what's happening. You must be able to look at through the noise and say what is actually happening factually, and
Yeah.
understand, okay, what to focus on and what matters to you and in terms of your
Yeah.
career. I'm starting to see in the job descriptions and the requirements, AI as a requirement, as one of the essential skills now. Which is, I had a conversation with one of my guests on this podcast, and he said we actually getting to the point where AI will be one of those requirements, like we have kind of Microsoft 365, right? As a requirement.
Exactly.
You don't
Yeah.
even think about it. It's a requirement. It's a normal requirement. You must be able to use Microsoft 365. It's now becoming that kind of requirement in terms of the job market and what companies are looking for, people who are able to use AI to solve problems in their work.
Absolutely, 100%. It definitely is a skill that's required, but
Yeah,
it's also a signal,
yeah.
right? You're about to hire somebody. You want that person to be innovative, to be creative, to be uh, contributing
Mm,
in new, different ways. And if you find a colleague that doesn't use AI at all, that person is a little close to innovations, to using
mm,
new tools. And
yeah.
so if he's not willing to embrace AI as one of the tools that makes you better at your job, then what else is that person not willing to
One
embrace?
only to do.
Maybe
Mm,
it's not using Excel, or not.
mm,
So it becomes an indicator of whether you're laggard. A lot of people say, you won't be replaced by AI, but you will be replaced by people who use AI. And that's 100% true.
Mm.
But now you need to navigate the range of utilization. Do you use AI because you took a class, and do you call yourself an AI expert because you've done qualification,
Applications.
or have you really embraced AI and made it part of your work, of your
Yeah.
workflows? Have you made it part of your ecosystem building? All right. Did you use AI to reframe and reinvent yourself
Mm.
to be a better version of who you were?
Yeah.
And so
So,
one of the metrics I would push people to say is take stock of where you are today, right?
mm,
Of what you know about AI, how you use AI, and table that for now. And then in 6 months from now, look back and compare the person you are today to the person you were 6 months ago. And as your use of AI grown, have you become more effective? Have you become more productive? Do you deliver better outcomes with AI? And if that's true, then you've used AI in a proper way. Not just to say you're an AI guy or you've taken classes, but because you've made AI part of who
mm,
you are to deliver results.
okay. We've used AI to deliver results and generate outcomes, which
Yeah.
is very okay. Let's move back to your kind of your pivot career,
Yeah.
right? When you look back across the shifts that has happened over your life and career journey, of course, it's easy to kind of talk about new tools and the changing market, and but careers, when you think about careers, it's not just a technical thing. It's for some people, it's very personal, right?
Of
Um,
course.
yeah. So when you think about it, we've talked a little bit about AI skills, right? Right now, but looking back and looking forward, which skills are actually aging well across the waves that you've seen and what you're seeing in the future, really, and which ones are quietly becoming less and less irrelevant?
Now, when you refer to skill, do you refer to actual things that you learn, like accounting, like physics, or do you mean maybe more broadly what traits from a person's are useful?
I'm more looking at more traits rather than more job title or kind of
Right.
career. Yeah, more traits. Yeah.
Right. So and I agree with that. I think traits are far more important than the skills because skills
Mm,
come and go and skills become obsolete, right? I mean, you may have used a tool back in time, but that tool got discontinued and then you went to a new tool. So it's a natural evolution of progressing through a career.
mm,
But when you look at traits are what defines you as a person.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so what I would say is one of the reasons I think I've been pretty successful is because I'm very curious by nature,
Yeah. Curiosity.
and I love to learn and be
Yeah.
curious about it and extrapolate and learn,
Mm,
and that's also why I love science fictions books and movies because it gets you out of your comfort zone, it gets you out of an environment and
mm,
exposes you to new environments that you would not think about otherwise. So learning to be curious
curiosity.
is
Okay.
extremely important.
Yeah.
The second one is be ready to embrace change. Change can be scary, but
Mm,
change is inevitable throughout your life, throughout your
yeah.
personal life, throughout your career life. You have kids. Your kids are
Mm,
not the same when they were 3 than when they were 5 and
yeah.
10 and 12, and they become teenager and young adult. They evolve, and you evolve with them, and you evolve the relationship. A career and a job is exactly the same way. You evolve with the need of your carriers and
Mm,
you respond to those needs. And to do that, you need to embrace change and look for changes that make you a better version of yourself.
absolutely. So, in your opinion, one of the key traits that is curiosity. Just be curious. Find things out.
Right.
Learn new things.
Yeah.
Be ready to learn, which was really fun.
And I would say
Yeah.
don't get stuck on the past. Right.
Mm,
So, you may have been very, very good
mhm.
when I was in college at writing code in Pascal or Fortran. Right. The young audience that's going to listen to that podcast will go and say, what? What is that? They have no idea, right?
They have no
So
idea.
don't stay stuck on things that you were good once that are no longer relevant. And so, in my case, is I was a very good RF engineers, but I went to business. So that whole knowledge base that I had in RF and matching network and designing circuitry and using, you know, uh, different tools, CADs, I let it go. It was no longer useful in my career, and I embraced new tools. So I went from CAD, computer aided design circuits,
Yeah.
to CRNs. It's a different tool, different
And tools,
purpose,
yeah.
different uh, implementation, but that's what I had to do. So embrace change and don't get stuck in the past.
Thank you very much for that. Let me talking about your kind of the skills, right? That you
Yes.
see kind of
Whether the skills or the traits.
yeah, or
Yes.
the traits, let's call it, that you see kind of will outlive or it's important to have right now that will outlive the waves that we're seeing right now. Um, okay, I want to move quickly right now. You mentioned earlier about kind of jobs disappearing. A lot of companies are laying off thousands and thousands of people, right, nowadays, and it's bound to happen, right? Because companies are looking to optimize. Going back to the three things that you said earlier, you know, making money, saving money, and productivity, right? And companies will be looking across those three areas to ensure that it's a business and they have to survive, right? Um, what is going back to kind of AI, what is from your experience as well, from what you've seen change, what is fundamentally different about AI compared to the waves that you've seen before with the IoT and cloud and the .com kind of changes? What is fundamentally different, if there's any difference at all? Should we even Is there anything fundamentally different? And if so, what is it that you think?
Well, I think there's two elements to answer that question.
Yeah,
One is the scale and how massive it is. Right? AI is affecting every single facet of our society. Like
absolutely.
anyone who's been using a computer has access to AI. So it's very democratized. And it allows you to do things that people couldn't think of doing because there was technical barrier to entry. And I'll give you an example. Let's say that you wanted to create your own website for your hobby, right? Well, before you would have to literally learn how to code HTML or
Yeah.
how the basics of. You would have a huge technical barrier to entry to achieve the outcome of having a new website with a bunch of pictures. Today, with AI, anybody can build a website. And you don't have to have any technology. You just say, hey, I want a website and I want this and that. I want the front page to have those pictures and this message. So your the how of how to do things has been erased, right? And everybody can do that. So now imagination is just your limit. You can do whatever you want. So I would say that's the first one. Um, just the fact that it erodes barrier. The second one is the people or the employees that are now threatened by this wave of innovation with AI is a different audience, right? For the longest time, I think we've told everyone that if you study hard, you go to college, you'll have a good career, right? You'll
Yeah.
have a white-collar jobs and it will be a high-paying job. And for the first time in the history of humanity, that education, that brain that you have, is no longer a safety. It's no longer a security. You will be affected. And so what you're seeing people who all of their life thought they would be safe because they were educated, intellectuals, they were using their brain, are starting to see that this is also going to touch them. So anybody who is, a clerk, anybody who is doing a lot of repetitive tasks in front of a computer all day long may not be required anymore. And again, it goes back to, if you're defined by the stuff you do, you're
Yeah.
probably in trouble, because if it's stuff you do, AI can do it, and AI can probably do it better and faster and cheaper than you can.
If you're defined by the stuff you do, then
Right.
you
Yes.
you might be in trouble.
If you define by the outcome you
Outcomes.
deliver
Yeah.
and by the vision you have, then great. You got an incredibly powerful tool to make you
Mm,
even better than you were before.
right.
And so when you think about software development engineer, they a lot of them were measured on the number of line of codes that they were delivering.
Mm,
Right, deliver 12,000 line of code, uh, and that was one of the major metrics for how many routines you developed, how many lines did you write, how was it committed, and so forth. That's no longer a really good metrics because AI can do all of that.
literally write the whole code for you.
Can write the whole
Like
codes
we've
with a
got
couple of
vibe
prompts.
coding now, right? Isn't it?
Right. And so for a period of time, we said, well, but you're still the engineering managers, and now you got a bunch
Yeah.
of newbies engineers, and that's great, and that was true. But now those newbies engineers, AI agents, are
Yeah.
becoming themselves AI managers, right?
Hmm.
So they don't only do the coding aspect of it, delivering the code. It does the verification, it does the commit, it does the QA, it does a whole bunch of things that suddenly you're like, okay. But you know what AI is not going to do? It's not
Mm,
going to tell you who you're writing the code for or what kind of code
kind
or
of code.
outcome you want to deliver.
Mm,
That's not happening, right? Somebody starts to say, we want to build this routine, this code, this program that's going to do this, like the platform you're developing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
AI didn't say, Elizabeth, you should develop a platform called Trivoh because
Yeah.
it's cool. No, you saw a need, and now you're using AI to develop that platform.
Yeah.
And so the people who are defined by their vision, by their imagination, the people who ask themselves, what if?
Mm,
People who think about the art of possible, those are the people who are going to be safe. Because if you remember, AI is based on the sum of all human knowledge. So everything that's been invented by human has been fed to the AI machine. And so AI will do this. So if you give AI any kind of mathematical problem that has been solved
mm,
and that has been published through papers, AI will solve this faster than anybody else. Right. And so if you give those problems to a grad student from, Stanford or Berkeley, uh, AI will solve those faster because it's already existing in document. But now, if you take undocumented problem that
mm,
PhDs are evaluating in math, and you're thinking of solving those problems, but the humans are working to solve those problems and maybe have resolved those problems already, but have not published anything about those problems. AI can solve those problems because
mm,
AI doesn't have the knowledge. So AI is limited by what we know.
mm.
AI is not
Okay.
yet at a point where they're creative, where they have a vision, right? So that's one aspect of the limitation
Yeah.
of AI. The other aspect is people love to talk to people, and I know there's a lot of application out there that says that people love to talk to their AI agent.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, uh, people who are evangelists,
The
people who are
people.
visionary,
Yeah.
nobody's going to go and say, I'm going to a conference to watch a robot talk on stage about the future of AI. People will go to meet people and network with people because they want to have that human touch, that human condition.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of jobs still that are out there. Again, if you're interesting, if you're socially very good, you're safe because that's
Yeah.
something that AI cannot replace for you. So you have to find that angle that uniquely differentiate yourself. And
Mm,
again, when you do that, always think, but how is AI going to make me a better version of myself?
I miss it. Absolutely.
How do I progress over the next 6 months, the next 12 months? Where
Mm.
did I learn more? Why am I more efficient? Why am I delivering better results?
So it's not about just delivering tasks, really. You
No,
need to think about what is the outcome that you're delivering, what is the impact that your job is making, either to the business in terms of innovation, productivity, or in terms of even revenue and generating more income for the business. Just think about outcomes and the result that your job is actually producing.
exactly.
Yeah. So thank you very much for that. Thank you. We've discussed really about the kind of uniqueness of AI, the limitations as well, which you've really touched on. Thank you for that. Um, I want to move on to more kind of help people, right? For somebody
Right.
who is listening, who want to represent and said, okay, Olivia, I hear you. And I feel like my job is one of those jobs that I think is going to be replaced, right? Because that what I do currently is just tax basis. It's not really an outcome based kind of role. For someone who listening who want to reposition themselves, especially in 2026, right? Where should they realistically start from? In a way, what do you think?
As I said a little earlier, you know, you got to think about what you do
Mm-hmm.
and what your skills are, and how can AI make those skills better. How can you compound what you already have? So you don't want to redefine yourself and say, well, I was doing this job and now I'm an AI person.
AI expert.
You want to say, I'm an expert in this. This is my responsibilities. I'm creating cool widgets, building cool
Mm,
toys. Uh, that's who I am. And now you start thinking, how is AI gonna make me do better toys, faster toys, more
mm,
interesting toys, more full-featured toys,
yeah.
right? So you're not reinventing yourself. You're just using AI to make yourself a better person compared to what you were without AI, right?
That makes
AI is not
sense.
here to steal your job, but AI is going to force you to adapt and to learn
Mm,
new things. And so if you're not part of those people that see AI as an opportunity to learn and grow, then you will be left behind. But if you see AI as a way to make yourself more powerful, then AI is fantastic. And then going back to what I said earlier, look at outcomes. What do you want to deliver? And find out what are those AI skills that you need to learn to be doing
mm,
this. So I never want people to say, okay, this is the era of AI and AI is here, so I'm gonna learn
mm.
AI. What does that mean you're gonna learn AI? It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you took a
Yeah,
class that
yeah,
says
yeah.
now you can describe what an LLM is and
Yeah.
how you can prune an LLM. Okay, that's AI, pruning, onboarding, DevOps. But do you use that in your job? Is that part
What does
of
that
what you
mean?
do?
Mm,
Right? And so I've seen few people that like, I understand AI because I learn about LLMs and all the techniques and self reinforcements and
mm.
I know what RAG is. But
What does that mean for you?
are you gonna use this either as part of your ecosystem, or are
Mm.
you gonna use this to make you better? I mean, I know what RAG is. I don't use it, so it's
I
it's
don't use
very
it
abstract,
either.
right? It's very
Yeah,
abstract.
yeah.
It's a good concept. Maybe in a social conversation,
Mm,
uh, it may sound interesting, like, oh, this guy knows RAG, so he must know something.
mm.
But that's not what AI is about. It's like,
It goes back to that
having a hammer.
noise.
Yeah, it's like having
Yeah.
an hammer and going, I know that my hammer is, using wood and it's got an anchor, it's got metal, and the metal alloy is this and this, and, it's been fashioned and tramped to that temperature for like, great. So you know how a hammer's been made, but do you know how to use a hammer,
Mm,
right? So that's, AI is the hammer.
mm,
What are you going to do with it? And maybe you don't need a hammer because you don't have nails, but whatever it is, how are you going to use this for yourself? Right. And by the way, it's not an easy process, right? It's not going to happen overnight. So that's the other thing that I hear from a lot of people. They're like, well, I'm going to do a 3 months boot camp and I'm going to know everything about AI. And I'm
mm,
like, no, that's not how it works. Reinvention is not a 3 months boot camp. And what you really need to do with AI is reinvent yourself.
okay.
It's how you reinvent yourself. It's how you redefine yourself. Uh,
Yeah.
the key things about AI is it's don't learn the AI skill.
Mm,
Don't learn a skill. You will need to learn things, but don't do it with the ideas that I learn AI because I need to learn AI. Use AI to redefine yourself. You
mm,
will learn, discover new things, but changing yourself, redefining your career is not something that happens in 3 months or 6 months. as you know, as the cliche says, it's not a sprint.
Yeah.
It's a lot of sprints, and it's actually a marathon.
Yeah.
And you're going from, I never knew how to run to I can run a marathon. That doesn't happen overnight. And once you went from, I like to watch TV on a couch to I run
Mm.
marathon, you also no longer the same person. You've changed as an individual. You have a different discipline. You have a different body. So
Yeah.
redefining yourself never happens overnight. It takes a lot of time.
Takes time. Takes time. And it
And
takes
so
curiosity.
one of the dangers is that people will say, I'm doing this AI things, and
Mm.
after 3 months, which is your period of confusions and exposure and being overwhelmed, I see nothing happen. Or even after 6 months, I see nothing happen. Nothing's changed, so I should
Yeah.
give up. No, 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 you don't give up. It's not, if you're trying to run a marathon, it's not because after 6 months you only do 5 miles that you give up.
Mm.
5 miles is the first step, and then you go to 7 miles, to 12 miles, to 18 miles, and eventually you'll get to the 26 miles. But that's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah. Even your body is not going to be able to do that, right? Things like
Your
that.
body,
So your
your mind's
mind,
not going to be
yeah,
able to do that.
yeah, yeah.
So
All
so don't
right.
give up. Continue the
Yeah.
journey. Go for the long haul.
Keep going. Keep going. Thank
Transforming
you so
yourself
much.
takes time.
Takes time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Olivia. Thank you for that. And it's been a really a good conversation, and I like how you've taken us on a journey from where you started and what has helped you along the way. The key thing is about really you have a mindset of outcome driven rather than task driven, and I really think it's really what I'm hearing a lot of people kind of say advice that is coming out of a lot of people right now who are in the industry is really not, if you're thinking about reinventing yourself, how do you actually serve the wave of technology that is happening right now, is really just be curious and be ready to learn new things and ready to apply what is happening to your existing kind of terrain, and how to use it to amplify yourself to deliver better outcomes, to deliver better work better, and really just to help yourself in on the journey. So thank you so much, Olivia, for that. So that feels like a really good place to pause. I'm really hoping that I will bring you back on so that we can really dive into more practical examples in terms of physical industries like new manufacturing and logistics and what you're doing really right now. But until then, thank you so much. We will leave it here for today, and we'll reconvene in the next episode. Yeah.
Well, thank you
So
so much
thank you.
for having me. It was a pleasure being here.
Yeah.
It was an honor, and I really enjoyed the conversation we just had.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Olivia. All right. So that is it. Thank you so much, everybody.